Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday and welcome back to another edition of the Weekly Member Spotlight. I am so excited to be here today. We have a Flashback Friday Weekly Member Spotlight featuring our brand new President of the Board of Directors for the GCN Mr. Don Brunner. Welcome, Don.
Well, thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here today. When we focused this initiative on you back in probably, I don't know,
A couple years ago.
yeah, like August or so of last year, or 2 years ago, I guess, we weren't doing the videos yet. And you were on the board of directors, so we kind of roped you in first.
Sure.
And then you missed out on doing the video.
That's a shame.
But we knew big things were on the horizon for you. So I think timing-wise, this has worked out perfectly. I know you're a very familiar face. However,
Sure.
I think we're going to learn some stuff about you today that people might not know.
Maybe.
So this is going to be exciting, and I'm very happy to sit down with you. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I was moved by your speech at the installation dinner this week. That was very just inspiring to hear you say how 20 years ago you stood in that room thinking, I'm going to be president one day, and then for that to come to fruition, I could feel the pride, and everyone was just very humbled to be there. So thank you very much for serving. I look forward to sitting alongside of you with the next year at the association. So congrats.
Thank you.
Well done hosting your first big event. That was nice. And let's just dive right in. Are you ready?
It was a great setting. The market and the team did a fantastic job. The sound of the string quartet when you walked into the room was perfect.
It's such a beautiful room and just a nice backdrop, I would say, to have that kind of installation dinner.
It's fabulous.
And then for the NAA president to be there to install you and to install all of us, that was a very special night.
Yeah, Mike's a great guy.
Yeah.
Known him for a number of years, and it was great to have him there with us. So.
I think he spoke at the trade show forum last year, didn't he?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. I remembered hearing him and talking a little bit to him because he's from Greenville.
Right, exactly.
Wonderful. Well, I know, again, probably everyone watching knows who you are, but would you just take a moment in case there's a newbie out there and tell everyone a little bit about who you are and maybe how long you've been in the business?
I've been in business a long time. My name is Don Brunner. I'm with the COO for BRG Realty Group here in Cincinnati, or here in this same building. I started back in 1998 with Globe Furniture Rental. Worked for Globe for a number of years and was acquired by Court Furniture. And then I moved to started working with Town Properties. Worked with Town for a number of years, and then started a company, Dennison Management, back in 2012, and did that for a few years and really enjoyed that, and it was a great learning experience. And then was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to go to BRG as a COO in 2015, and that's where I am today and where I'll always be.
Did you ever envision yourself having that title when you started in the business?
I had no way of knowing that.
Yeah.
I did not. My goal was to be a district manager at one point.
Right.
So that was it. So
dream big, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So having been on the associate side of the business and now on the primary side of the business, how do you think being involved with the GCN has helped your career evolve and helped you get to the level that you are today?
Well, I think it's great because I understand both sides. So as we get approached by supplier partners or potential supplier partners about doing business, I always try to give them time, but I also try to say, hey, we're using X company today, not to say I won't use you later, but I need to make sure I stay loyal to the person I'm with or working with. So at least understanding that side, and not to brush off someone, but it's the fact of I understand the sales side of that. So it gives me, I make sure I try to give people opportunity to talk to us about those things. And just an understanding of both sides of the business is key.
Right. So that has to be very helpful. And you mentioned too, when you were giving your speech this week, that you were also the president of the Associate Council at one time for this organization. It
was a great opportunity. So Michelle's been stuck working with me for over 20 years.
Wow.
So,
has that happened before? Have we had someone who has held both titles, president of the Associate Council and the Board of Directors?
No.
I think your picture needs to go on a wall somewhere for that one.
So it was the first, so I started out when I was at Globe. I went to first meetings, and I really I didn't quite know anybody, was learning the business and learning from the supplier side, got to know people, and found out that the best opportunity to get involved was through the associate council for my pathway.
Right.
So the second year I ran, there was an opening, and I was lucky enough to get elected. And then the next year I served as a vice president and then became president for a couple of terms. It was a great opportunity, learned a ton. We did some exciting things. That was the first time we gave a car away.
Gave a car away?
Cindy and Carlos Minks won that. We
Really?
were at the Radisson.
At the trade show, or?
No, at the it was at the Christmas holiday cheers type party we had. And Mark said, my thought is we want to give, I'd love to give away a car one day.
Wow.
So we put together some funds and gave away a car.
What kind of car was it? Do you remember?
It was, I want to say it was like a Honda Accord or something
really
like that.
Cool.
So Cindy and Carlos got that. It was a couple year lease, and then I think they actually ended up buying it out. So it was pretty cool.
I know someone who won a car. I don't remember what the circumstances were, but he drives up one day in this yellow convertible. I'm like, what in the world? He's like, I want a car. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah,
I don't remember that happening, but
Yeah.
we might need to revive that discussion.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was back in like probably 2001 maybe.
Wow.
So a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, having been in the business for over 20 years, I'm sure you have seen your fair share of just interesting days. What's one of your most memorable property management stories?
I remember going in, two things. When I first started in the business, my first on-site position was at Williamsburg or Cincinnati.
Okay.
So it was 976 units, and I had really no clue what I was doing. So walked in there. It was with town. We had just a ton of open work orders, vacant units, down units in the hundreds of each.
Right.
And diving into that, and Derek Wayman, my boss at the time, giving me a list of a notebook pad and said, "Okay, I'll see you in a couple of days." I was like, "Okay, now we're going to have to figure this out." So we had a great team, and what's really touching, some of those same team members are still in the business today.
Yeah.
Carrie Riley, Nikki Seiler, Sarah West. Some of the people in the office were there at the time, so it was a great group and to work with. And
it's funny, it's those very hard times and projects that tend to stick out the most because it's the most rewarding.
And one of the first times I worked on a Saturday, and we were collecting rent, and of course you don't take cash, especially on after. And we had somebody that came in with 13 $100 bills across their chest and said, either you want the cash or do you want a check? And we don't, obviously at that point, typically don't take checks either. And I said, well, I'll take a check.
Yeah, that's funny. 1,300 $1 bills.
13, excuse me, $100 bills.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, what advice, Don, would you offer up to the folks who are just starting their career and looking to be a COO one day?
Get involved. Find the committee that fits your personality best to start with. Right. And then get on a committee that you can learn from. So I think a great committee to start with is membership.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about relationships and just talking about what you do to recruit new members. And then get involved in education, and then legislation is so key to our business as well. So just get involved and then on the supplier side, going to those committees and working or sitting side by side with your potential customers in that setting is such a better opportunity than trying to sit across the desk. You're going to get to know someone, and I think that's just a great opportunity. So get involved, come to the meetings. We have people that'll introduce you around, and I think that's the best thing, is get involved.
I think that is the best advice ever. And I want to say to everyone, you don't have to be a COO or vice president or district manager or property manager, or you don't have to have any specific title to get involved. You can come be on a committee, you can come to the events, you can come meet and network regardless of where you are in your career. And I think that's just such great advice. We were talking before the video went live about, how I didn't know that. I didn't realize how important it was to get so involved with the association and to network with fellow primary members and associate members. Not only will it help your career, but it'll really help your understanding of how the industry works. So there's no shortage of need here for volunteers and people to be on the committees, and we welcome the perspective that everyone from brand new first day leasing consultant to COO on this
Absolutely.
in this organization.
Today's the younger group understand so much more of where we're going to be going.
That's right.
So their insight from whatever they were doing before is very valuable and welcome.
Right. And we're exploding. We just reached 100,000 units.
Great.
And to hear the NAA say 10 million units, I mean, it's almost incomprehensible to think about how big this industry is. And it's only going to continue to grow. There are apartments being built all over the place. So it's exciting time.
Studies show we're over 300,000 units short a year of new construction to hit demand over the next 10 years. And just think that the number of units that have to be built is just mind-blowing.
And think about the things that we do every day and how that's changed just in 20 years. Imagine what it's going to be like in another 10 or 20 years, All right. Well, obviously very passionate about the business. And again, so excited for you in your new role. And I know you've got an exciting several years coming up with your involvement. So looking forward to watching you just grow and lead this industry.
Thank you.
I'd like to move into the personal questions because I am excited for people to learn a little bit more about you. Tell us about your family.
So we have a big family. So I have one son, Jeff, who's in Dayton. He works for Right Rug, and he grew up with me in the business. So when I was at Globe, he worked on building furniture on the weekends and was always there. And then when I was working at Town and then at Denison, he came through and started at 15 and worked all the way up. So I've had the pleasure of working with my son and along with my son for a number of years. At one point, and then my wife Karen has 5 kids. So all 6 kids I've employed all 6 kids at one point. Over the term.
I didn't know that.
So that's been fun to at least work side by side with all 6 of them at one point.
So you've had a family business effectively.
Family business, yeah. So so they've given us great joy, the 6 of them, and then we have 3 grandchildren. So 2 3-year-olds and a 5-year-old that love to death and change the world. So,
I love seeing the pictures. They're just so you can tell they may or may not be spoiled, but they just look like absolute rays of sunshine.
They are absolutely. They bring us so much joy. It's amazing.
Well, I'm going to ask you this next question, but I think I already know the answer. What do you do in your pastime?
My wife and I have this great house we call the Happy Shack down in Kentucky. We have just amazing friends, and we go down there as many weekends as we can. We love to play golf together, and we play golf down there and boat and have a great time. And as much time we can spend with the grandkids is
always doing something with the grandkids or the kids. I see that all over social media, and again, it's inspiring. What's your favorite course that you have played?
Probably Torrey Pines.
Oh yeah.
So I've had the pleasure of playing some really nice courses, and Torrey Pines, I think maybe because that's where they're playing the PGA this weekend. So be able to watch that on TV and know that I played that specific hole is fun.
Beautiful views out there too.
Absolutely.
Wow. I don't know that it gets any better. So what about books? Are you much of a reader? And if so, what's one of your most memorable books?
CBS Sportsline every morning.
Yeah.
I read the news online.
There you go.
But not much of a sit-down reader for books.
Do you ever listen to podcasts or anything?
When I drive at times, I'll listen, but I usually end up losing focus and then turn on to whatever the next news story or sports story is going on at the time.
Well, with so much on the radio, like the podcast and like sports shows and whatnot, it's hard to commit to one. So I can relate there. What's one of your favorite foods or restaurants?
I just enjoy casual. I'm not a fancy eater. I'm pretty basic meat and potatoes kind of guy. Yeah. A lot of our friends and folks around the country I know from NAA give me a hard time about being pretty basic. So I could anywhere that I
know
can
their
get.
Self.
That's right, exactly. So I'm not much of an adventurous eater. So,
yeah. So just meat and potatoes. I can get behind that.
Absolutely.
So I heard you say golf is your sport to follow. Are you a local sports guy? Do you follow the Bengals or the Reds?
Of course, I'm a huge Bengal and Cincinnati Bengal and Reds fan on the professional stage. Every Sunday I wear my Bengals stuff, whether or not they're winning or not. I wore it. I was in Savannah this past Sunday and had it on there and got laughed at by a lot of people, but I still wore it.
We were chuckling when you were on stage and you were giving away the Bengals stuff, and everybody was like, "Well, that had to be on clearance this week." But Hey, no fair weather fans over
No,
here, right?
Bengals, Reds, and then I'm a huge Ohio State Buckeye fan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, do you go to many games?
I do try to get to at least one
Yeah.
year. So
Nothing like it.
no.
Well, what's one of your favorite movies, Don?
Shawshank Redemption is
Yeah.
my favorite movie. It's an old-time
Classic.
movie, classic, and it's really about friendship, and that's important to me.
Good.
So.
What about one of the best concerts that you've ever attended?
So I grew up a sports guy, not a music guy, and I
Mm-hmm.
met my beautiful wife, and she's all about music. If you know her at all, she dances through Walmart or Target.
Dances through life.
Yes, she does. Her favorite that I enjoyed because she enjoyed it so much was Garth Brooks in Las Vegas.
Yep.
We were at the Wynn in a small little encore theater, and it was just she was just in heaven.
Yeah.
So, which made me enjoy it. So.
I remember, I think, seeing pictures from that.
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
sure.
Karen was one of the very first people that we actually did the in-person
Right.
interview with. It was a much different setup. And she talked about that concert too.
Yeah.
So sounds like a good time.
Sure.
All right. Well, a couple more questions for
Okay.
you. If you could be any animal, what would you be and why?
Lion, tiger, anything like that. If you know me, I kind of hobble around, and I get laughed at for hobbling sometimes. So anything with maneuverability and flexibility
Right.
would be good for me.
There you go. And what about one of your most memorable vacations?
We take, for us, fortunately, being involved in NAA the last several years, we get to go on more trips
Right.
because of the meetings, and always at some really nice places. So I don't consequently take a ton of vacations because I feel that since I do travel so much for that. So we've been to so many just great resorts. Bacar Resort was fabulous in California. We had a great trip last summer to Mexico with 10 of us, and that was just a great trip, all inclusive. And so we enjoyed so much. We traveled around, rented a Jeep, and drove around. Karen drove us all around the island, and
fun.
which was great. Except we had to then buy a Jeep when we got back. So
Is that how the Jeep came
That's
to
how it
be?
came,
That's
right?
funny. I didn't know that story. Well, I think it's awesome that you guys take advantage of disconnecting when you do have to travel
Absolutely.
for work. It looks like you always spend a day or two just getting out and seeing the sights and enjoying whatever town you happen to need to be in for work.
Absolutely.
And that's always, I think that's a vacation. Vacation doesn't have to be a Mexican,
Right.
10-day, 10-person trip, but just taking advantage of the time when you are somewhere different. So,
we try to stay one more night
right,
on the back end, typically
right.
after one of our meetings. And
Yeah.
it's just been a great experience.
You planning to do that in Boston?
Fortunately, we've been to Boston a couple times, but yes, we're going to go in the Sunday before.
Oh, okay.
So my son Jeff, who I mentioned, is a big Red Sox fan.
Oh, okay.
So the Red Sox play the Yankees on Sunday Night Baseball. So we're going to go in Sunday
that's
afternoon,
awesome.
take him to the ball game, and then stay for the conference.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
good. And then you'll be there early and have plenty of time to
Absolutely.
get settled. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm super excited about this question. Share a random detail about yourself that we wouldn't otherwise know.
So anybody that knows me at all, my business cards say M. Don Brunner. So my first name is actually Merle. So not many people know that. So
Mind blown. I
Yeah.
had no idea. And if I would have guessed 10 names, Merle wouldn't have been one of them, starting with an M. So that is a
Yeah.
very random fun fact. And I bet you're going to have a lot of people calling
sure.
you Merle now.
oh, well.
Although I liked what you said. You said that you used to tell people they just left off the R. It's
That's right,
Mr. Don
Mr.
Brunner.
That's right.
I like that. Well, one more question for you, Don, and
Sure.
thank you once again. This has been exciting and a pleasure. I'm sure this video is going to be shared for days to come. But one last question for you. How do you think the folks who have worked with you over your career would describe who you are as a professional?
Wow. Depends on the day you ask, probably.
Right.
I like to have fun. Getting work done and accomplished is important to me. I try to give people opportunities to grow and learn. For me, as a manager over the years, the promotion and seeing someone grow throughout the industry is the most rewarding.
Right.
So the professional development, trying to offer that opportunity for people, I think is key for me. So hopefully they feel that I've given them opportunity to grow.
Mhm.
Their opinions count,
Mhm.
and we get work done, and we have fun doing it. So
I love that. Well, I'll tell you, I've known you just about my entire career, and I've certainly known Karen my entire career.
Sure.
And when I think about you, I think about loyalty. And I think about how committed you are to the people that you're working with and that you're supporting. And to hear what you said about, the associate members, how you approach the relationships is
Sure.
that I'm going to be loyal to the people who are loyal to me and who are, we're in a relationship with professionally. I'm going to give you the opportunity to do what we agreed to do. And I've seen you perpetuate careers, and I've seen you focus and dedicate your time and loyalty to this organization and to your company. And so you've been an inspiration to me,
Thank
and I
you.
know so many people throughout your career. And again, I think 2020 and beyond is going to be a very exciting time for you, for this organization, and can't wait to see what's on the horizon for us.
Thank you very much. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, well, thank you, Don. So we're not going to share a post today because, again, this is a Flashback Friday.
Sure.
But Don's original information is out there on our Facebook page, and hope that everybody enjoys this little interview. And we wish you well in 2020, Don.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
everyone.